Hello folks, in this video I'm going to show you how to get the Petition demo up and running on a Mac using the MAMP software. But before we get into that, I want to make sure that you have your PHP display errors turned on. By default, if you install MAMP, any PHP errors do not get shown in the browser. That's good when your code's in production, but when you're developing your code, it's really good to be able to see your errors. It's going to help you debug. So I'm going to take you through the steps to show you how to turn on PHP errors using MAMP. So the first thing I'll do at the desktop is I'll press Command N to open up a window. And I'm going to go to Applications. From Applications, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to go to MAMP. From MAMP, I'm going to go to bin. And then from bin, I'm going to go to PHP. And then from PHP, I'm going to go to PHP 5.4.10. In there, you'll see a folder named conf. I'm going to open up that folder. And you'll see a file called php.ini. That's the file that controls the way PHP behaves. I'm going to right click and I'm going to open it. In my case, I'm using TextMate, but you can use any text editor you like. After it opens, we're going to do a find. So we're going to do select find. And I'm going to find display underscore errors. In my case, you'll see that it's turned on. You want to make sure that it's turned off. It's turned on. So if it's off, make sure it's on. You want to do the same thing for display startup errors. You want to make sure they're turned on. So display errors and display startup errors need to be turned on. So I'm going to save this file. And I'm going to quit the TextMate. And I'm going to close this Finder window. Okay. In order to get the Petition demo up and running, I first have to create a database and some tables. If I double click on this file that I downloaded from the course site, you'll see that I've described the two tables that are required. So the first thing I'm going to do is get these tables set up. To do that, I'm going to start up MAMP. So I'm going to search for MAMP. I'm going to start it. It's going to ask me for the computer password. Hopefully I'll get it right. And it's all started up and our page has started. So we're going to go to phpMyAdmin. We're going to go to databases and I'm going to create a new database called social underscore action. Create. And if I click on social action, you'll see there's currently no tables found. I'm just going to rearrange my windows a little bit so that we can create our tables easily. So, the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a table called Petition. And as you can see, that table has 4 columns. So we're going to put in a 4. So I'm just going to make my columns now. And I'm just going to move this up a little bit. So just follow along across the bottom here. The first column is ID. It's of type int. It's a primary index, and it's an auto increment. The next one is a name. It's varchar 100. It's just a regular index. The next one is description. description. It's a text, and it's not indexed. The last one is called end date. It's a timestamp. Then the default is current timestamp, and it's indexed. So there we go. I have my 4 columns. So let's save that. Now, before I go too far, I'm going to choose our new table, and I'm going to insert some sample data. So I'm going to insert as the name petition 1, petition 1 description. So, whoops, I'm going to capitalize the D. So I'm going to insert that, and I'm going to insert a second row. Petition 2. Petition 2 description. And there we go. If we click on browse, you'll see that we have our 2 rows of data. This particular demo, there's no interface for putting this data in. You have to use the database directly. We could make a PHP script to do this, but we'll do that later on. Now, I have to create a second table. This table will be called petitioner. And as you see, there's 5 rows this time. So instead of 4, I'm going to add another column. So here we go again. ID, integer, primary, auto. And to speed things up here, I'll do some copy paste. Petition ID, integer, index. Just follow along down here. Full name, varchar 100, and it's a regular index. Email, varchar 100, and it's a regular index. The time is a timestamp. This time we have a default of current timestamp, and it's an index. The reason we have a default is so that we don't have to manually put the time in every time somebody signs the petition. And then finally, I'm going to save that. So just to recap, if we go back to the social action database, we have 2 tables, petition and petitioner. Okay, I'm done. I'm going to close this. And it's time to start up NetBeans. So I'm going to start up NetBeans. In NetBeans, I'm going to create a new project, making sure that I store the project in the right place so MAMP can get access to it. So I'm going to say plus. I'm going to go to PHP application, choose next. I'm going to name this petition. And if you notice, it's in the correct place. Applications MAMP, HT docs petition. If it's not in the right place, you could click browse. Next, I'm going to use the local server, and there's our URL. Choose next. We're not using any frameworks. Choose finish. As I've said in class a few times, I always like to test things as I go. So let's make sure this little index page works. So I'm going to put an echo. And I'll use the traditional hello world. And let's try running that. Oh, it didn't work. Why didn't it work? Okay, there we go. In my version, I'm using a different port, but so I'm going to right click, go to properties, go to the run configuration. I'm just going to take the 888 out. If you're in your case, you don't have to do that. Okay, so if I run it, it works fine now. Okay, so I'm actually going to go back to the desktop. I'm going to go back to applications. I'm going to go back to MAMP. And I'm going to go this time to htdocs and then petition. The first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to delete the index page that's created by default. I'm then going to open up the petition demo that I downloaded from the course site, and you'll see that there's 4 files. I'm just going to drag those 4 files. Whoops, I want to make sure I can see this. I'm going to drag the 4 files into the petition folder in MAMP. I'll close that window. I'll close that window, and you'll see the 4 files have shown up here. The last thing I have to fix is I have to make sure the DB credentials, we had the correct password, and that's root. Because with MAMP, the username is root, the password is root. Okay. That's it. We are now ready to try the code. So if I run it, I see the 2 petitions, petition 1 and petition 2. Now, if I click petition 1, I can try signing up. If I click sign in, I get errors. I can try signing this. So Chris at Shadowon.com. I'll sign it, and we've been added. How do we know we've been added? Well, I can check in the database. So let's go back into the database, go to petition, and you'll see that Chris signed petition number 1. Okay, so that's a quick overview of how to get the code running on MAMP. Your next step is to start going through the code and understanding all the steps. And as you can see, I've commented all the code. I hope that helped. Have a good day. Bye.